Welcome to another Trauma Talks Advocating Freedom from Trauma segment with myself, your freedom coach, Natasha Miller. Our topic for today is trauma transitions. Trauma transitions. Before we get into trauma transitions, why it's important, let's revisit our definition for trauma. Trauma is anything that violates your internal sense of safety, security, and stability. So, trauma is anything that makes you feel internally unsafe, insecure, and unstable. That would be considered a traumatic experience. Trauma recovery is a lifelong process that consists of a series of intentional transitions from one state of being to another. So those of us who are believers, we that's another way of saying from glory to glory, because we know that as human beings, we have to continue to evolve into the best version of ourselves because none of us is completely God and completely human simultaneously, as was Jesus. So, this is a lifelong process for us. The five trauma transitions: tent, training, trenches, test, and tabernacle. So, let's get into each of these transitions. Trauma transition one is tent. A tent is a place of an encampment where you can be vulnerable in pursuit of disclosure to receive comfort, clarity, and charge. Ask Moses. In Exodus chapter 3, you can read about Moses' burning bush experience, where he has an encounter with the Lord and God gives him a charge, he gives him a command. And he also gives Moses an opportunity to express his vulnerabilities, his insecurities, and his concerns with carrying out this charge. And in doing so, God gives him comfort and clarity that produces courage for Moses to move forward in obeying God to fulfill the charge. Reflection question for you: when up against the traumas of life, do you withdraw from God and others, or do you seek ways to build and maintain intimacy, connection, communication? When life happens, do you look to other people first or within to God and you for solutions? Trauma transition 2, training. Training is an introductory period to higher learning where you develop discipline while edified with new instruction, strength, and insight. Ask Gideon. Gideon's story is in Judges 6 and 7, where Gideon is learning God's voice. It is presented in a manner where he's testing the angel of the Lord to make sure that this is God who's giving him this command, this assignment. But in the same token, God is teaching him how to hear his voice and to be confident in the fact that he is hearing from God. Gideon's tent experience is also in Judges chapter 6, where he is called by an angel of the Lord, and God also consumes him. The presence of God consumes him to destroy a false idol. So that was Gideon's tent experience. Reflection question for you: how well do you remain intentional about your purpose during times of pain or uncertainty? How well do you remain intentional about your purpose during times of pain or uncertainty? And training can be a painful experience, and it is full of uncertainty because we're not fully sure or aware of what the unknown is that we're walking into, this newness that we're being prepared for during the training transition. Trauma transition number 3, trenches. In the trenches, you receive the encouragement, fortification, and authorization to engage war as a watchman on guard against the enemy, fire, and attack. Ask Joshua. The book of Joshua, the entire book of Joshua, talks about his trenches experience in securing the promised land. Joshua's training component can be found in Numbers chapter 12, where he goes out and spies the land and returns with a God report. Not a good report, but a God report. And then also his tent experience is in Exodus 24 and Numbers 11, where he is serving as Moses' assistant. So that was his tent experience, being prepared to take the lead, as we see in the book of Joshua when he's leading the children of Israel into the promised land. Reflection question for you. Are you one to introduce, recognize, or embrace something new amid a crisis? Are you one to introduce, recognize, or embrace something new amid a crisis? Trauma transition 4, test. A test is a trial period that occurs in the form of a trigger, trauma, or temptation to expose the covenant condition of your heart, challenging the depths of its transformation. So, in other words, the test comes to see, have you been transformed by your tent, training, and trenches experience? Has it removed the old and replaced the old with the new? Have your mind been renewed? Have your heart been purged? And it is now pure and ready to walk into your next. As David, 2 Samuel chapter 6 talks about David securing the ark, where he went to get the ark of the covenant of the Lord, but made a major mistake by placing it on a cart rather than having the right people carry the ark as it was supposed to be. David's trenches experience is in 1 Samuel 21 through 23, where he's fleeing for Saul's murderous pursuit. Saul was trying to kill David, take him out. And then David's training is in 1 Samuel 16, when he's serving in Saul's court, playing the lyre to help Saul maintain a peace of mind. And then his tent experience is in 1 Samuel 16, where he is the shepherd of the sheep for his father. So, reflection question for you. Are you easily discouraged or instantly aroused by the trials and tribulations of life? Do the trials and tribulations easily discourage you, overwhelm you, cause you to experience frustration and depression? Or does it instantly arouse? Does it awaken something in you that you didn't know was there? Does it activate you to embrace change, to change your perspective, to do something new? Does it do that? Which of the two is more so your go-to when it comes to trials and tribulations that interrupt your life? And then lastly, we are at trauma transition 5, tabernacle. Ultimately, this is our end goal. We always want to get to enter into the tabernacle experience. A tabernacle is a place of victory, a house of worship where you experience a new dimension of God's glory that employs you to go forth authentically and abundantly. Ask Esther. Esther chapter 6 through 9 is when Esther saves the Jews. Esther's test experience is in chapter 5 and 6, where she's favoring the king. She's winning his favor to be able to even communicate to him the issue that needs to be revealed and exposed to him to save her people. Esther's trenches experience is in chapter 4, where she agrees to help the Jews with prayer and fasting. Her training experience is in chapter 2, where she's favored by God and becomes the queen. And then her 10 experience is in chapter 2, when she's fathered by her cousin Mordecai, who actually positions her in the right place to be favored by God to become the queen, to ultimately save the Jews. Reflection question for you. When that was a little blooper. Reflection question for you. When up against the traumas of life, do you shrink in fear or arise to the occasion heroically? Excuse me, y'all. That was just my OCS. They just came out for a minute. Only child syndrome. Yes, I'm one of those. So major OCS blooper. Okay, back to the reflection question. When up against the traumas of life, do you shrink in fear or arise to the occasion heroically? And with God and all that He has invested in you, you have the power and the ability to rise to the occasion, to create a tabernacle experience for yourself and those who are connected to you. So this concludes our conversation about the trauma transitions. Trauma transitions are vital because you can never go back to who you were or how life was before a traumatic event occurred. You can never go back to who you were or how life was before a traumatic event occurred. So the trauma transitions helps you to move forward progressively while evolving into a better version of yourself as you begin to walk into a new way of living, because you can't go back to where you once was or who you were before. Okay, so that is why the trauma transitions are so important for us to know, understand, and engage on a daily basis in our lives. Are you looking for community? I invite you to join us at Freedom from Trauma International. Our blog website is freedomfromtrauma.international. Our Facebook group is Freedom from Trauma International. And then we have a Facebook page and an Instagram page that you can follow. Here is one of our community members' testimonial. The Freedom from Trauma International community helps me take accountability for my choices and heal inner parts of myself that I wasn't aware that they were still wounded. They help me engage in introspection to discover the why behind both the decisions I didn't make and the ones I've made. And this is one of our freedom leaders from California. And we have people in our Facebook community from all over the world. So you are more than welcome to join us there. Last but not least, I invite you to stay connected. Number one, subscribe to my YouTube channel and hit the bell button so that you will receive notification whenever new content is posted. Also visit my website, www.c4lc as a cat, the number 4, and L as in love, global.com to grab your free ebook. I have a free ebook there on my homepage. And then follow me on Facebook and Instagram at Freedom Coach in Miller. Well, that is all that I have for you. This is your Freedom Coach, Natasha Miller, Signing off until next time. Peace and freedom to you, and I will see you again soon. Bye-bye.